Hello and welcome everybody to News Effect. This is a Flickr Effect podcast where each week we count down the top 10 news items of the week from the world of film, television, and pop culture. We're recording this episode, by the way, on September 11th, 2016. I'm David Lott. Joining me, as always, are Bobby Jackson, Jascha Wilson, and Michelle Curry. How's it going, guys?
Good. What's up?
What's up? How's life? Are we ready to talk news?
Life is good. We're ready to get into these fall movies, and I'm like, in the new season of shows are coming soon. The end of this month, we got Luke Cage, and yes, you guys were giving me crap about my proposed thing that I'm going to do with Luke Cage, but whatever.
No, I love it because
He's
that means
there.
This is my chance. This is going to be my chance because, like, right now the wife and I are full on watching all of this and catching up on Marvel. That now maybe it would make me such a happy man if somehow I could catch up and then watch all of Luke Cage before Bobby does. So
would be so
there'll be this
impressive.
small period of time where I will have seen more than he has.
That will be so amazing.
And I will embrace it and love it for the 1 week that it exists.
Well, now, see, I mean, there's two things here. First, you buried the lead and you just said that you're actually watching all the shows. So, I mean, that in and of itself is like, wow.
I don't know. My head's
exploding.
exploding.
I mean, this will be what, the third or fourth time you've sort of attempted to actually watch these shows?
Don't judge me, Bobby.
Yeah. Around that
I know.
neighborhood.
This is why I don't bring it up, because I know no one believes me. So it's fine. I'm just going to do my own thing. And I'm not going to bring it up again until I'm done. You know, the next time I speak of it, I will be caught up completely.
Well, then that's the other thing. So I actually do want you to bring it up at least once when you're about ready to start Luke Cage. So then I can retain my title and just blaze through it in like a day. And so I still will.
Now I'm never going to mention it. There's no way. And even if I do, I'll totally lie. I'll just be like, yeah, dude, I'm like halfway through Jessica Jones. It's just, I'll get there someday. Fuck it. And then the next day I'll be like, oh, by the way, I'm done.
No, I'll just pull an all-nighter on September 30th. I'll just go ahead at midnight, start watching, and just stay up.
See, I shouldn't even have brought it up this time.
No.
God damn it.
You jinxed it all.
Yeah, you probably should have not said a thing at all, David. Just not a word.
Yeah. So, yeah, I shouldn't have brought it up. But anyway.
You're totally going to jinx yourself. You're never going to watch all these in time. Never happened.
You know what? Just giving me fuel. It's fine. So, Bobby, you're our resident expert in the news. You ready to do this?
I believe so.
Whoa.
Let's do it.
You believe so?
Ooh.
You may have no doubts?
He's like not 100%. I'm a little scared.
Oh, no.
No, I'm just... It's called trying to give theater of the mind to give people the idea that I'm not ready. Now you're pulling back the curtain, so let's just do it.
All right, let's just do it.
Number 10.
All right, so number 10 in the news this week. Actually, it wasn't a huge week for news. Unfortunately, a lot of the news happened when we were kind of doing some other things for the last couple of weeks, but there's been a little bit of stuff going on. And in number 10, we've got that Rebecca Ferguson is joining The Greatest Showman. And for anyone that doesn't remember what that Greatest Showman is about, it's the movie that takes place for Barnum and Bailey's circus that starring Hugh Jackman. And it also has Zac Efron, Michelle Williams, and Zendaya in the project. So she's been added to the cast, and filming is supposed to start this fall. And I've talked about it before on here, and it's one of those things where I'm really interested in seeing this story. So anyone being attached to it, it looks right now is a very interesting cast. And so hopefully this movie will get some sort of pieces or semblance of what it'll actually look like before too long, maybe hopefully by February or so, once they start filming.
I'm excited. Yeah, like I'm down with this film. I'm down with everybody they've cast in it so far. And I mean, to find out that she's going to be in it now is awesome. Like, she totally has won my heart over from Rogue Nation. Like, yeah, I'm down with her. She's awesome, and
she really is.
This is just good news. All good news to me.
Sweet.
Number 9.
We got a little bit of Avengers Infinity War news, and it looks like the man himself, Josh Brolin, who's set to play Thanos in the Avengers Infinity War film, has shown up for rehearsals. And the movie actually is going to start filming in November. So this, to me, is just exciting because we're actually getting to that point. they're starting to film the first of the two Avengers films that will come out back to back. The first one comes out May 4th, 2018 or 2018, and then the other one comes out May 3rd, 2019. So the fact that now we have a picture of Josh Brolin on set, and in the picture, it's very scaled down. There's nothing really going on other than you see Josh Brolin sitting on a stage and he's in his mocap suit. And so he's there with the Russo brothers and they're just kind of, as they're saying, going through rehearsals. So to me, it's awesome just because that means there's a script and there's like, are we going to start hearing leaks or like what's going to happen soon here, especially with them starting to film in November. So I'm kind of just excited at the fact that the process is starting and it starts shooting very, very soon.
Cool. I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, David. Like, I mean, I saw this and it's just like, I mean, I don't know how excited Bobby was when he saw this, but I mean, seeing that, I saw it as well, and I was just like, man, that's kind of cool. And I saw him going through some like slow fight scenes too. I think there's a video of him doing that as well, just kind of like rehearsing and, just getting ready. And it's, it's exciting because, in just as little as probably 6 months or so, we'll probably have maybe some posters, some still shots, maybe people in costume, a teaser even eventually by next summer. Like, this is all very, very cool. Like, I'm looking forward to this storyline and seeing all these characters on screen together again.
I see, like, I think this is exciting, but I think it's hard for me to get like overly excited because it just seems so far away. Like, I'm like, God, it seems so far away. And I love it, but man.
It's super far away, but I think what makes me excited about it is knowing once the process starts, then you'll get that stream of information for quite a while. There'll be people talking about they just added this person to the cast, and then there'll be some leaks of something else or someone on set with the picture being photographed. So will Chris Pratt be shot on location? So they'll give you confirmation that Skylord, Star-Lord is in the film. And so then you'll kind of start seeing those little bits and pieces. Then next thing you know, it'll be close to Comic-Con time. And then you'll get that thing where, okay, they're going to bring the cast for Avengers Infinity War there and show that. And then that'll kind of carry you through. And then you'll start to anticipate May 2018. But I think once you get started, it's that point where the engine is starting to roll. And that's the excitement to me. Before it was still just hearing about it and there was nothing concrete yet. And now this is kind of solidifying the fact that it's starting to happen.
Cool. Understood.
Number 8.
Oh, so do you guys know a little bit about the whole thing that happened with Tupac and Biggie back in the day in terms of their deaths?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do. Bobby, I do.
For sure. Well, it looks like they're actually going to make a film about it. And back in a few years ago, we had the Notorious B.I.G. film. And I believe this fall, we have the Tupac movie coming out. Right. And so this movie is actually going to cover not them as a separate entities so much as the circumstances surrounding both their deaths. And Johnny Depp is the first person to be brought on board, and he's going to be playing a detective that was involved within the case for both of these famous rappers. His name is Russell Poole in the movie, and he plays a Los Angeles police detective that investigated the murders. So I think that'll be a very interesting thing because will this bring any new information to light? Will it kind of get people wondering and thinking about these things again to just kind of know what happened to these two individuals, these very prolific rappers at the height of their careers? It's going to be something that I think will garner that same sort of interest that Straight Outta Compton did for NWA. It'll probably be something people will have their eyes and ears on once they kind of get more wind of this movie being made. And having Johnny Depp in it, it seems like this will probably be one of his first roles in a while where he's just kind of playing an actual kind of guy, as not like how he did with Whitey Bulger and Black Mass, where he was kind of like under prosthetics and stuff, but him just sort of being him and really kind of acting. So it'll be good to see that as well. But just the idea of what they're going for here in this movie intrigues me, and I'm looking forward to it. No word yet on when it's starting to film or when it'll be out, but I'll definitely keep my eye on it.
I'd be curious to see, like, you know, who they're going to cast as, like, Suge Knight and stuff. Like, that'll be...
Or if they'll just
That'll be
use the
interesting.
same people that they used maybe in the NWA movie, or maybe they'll use someone that they might use for the Tupac movie. It'll be interesting to see if they get a completely new, different actor from the other two projects, or if they'll maybe try and establish some sort of, not continuity necessarily, but just within the actor and be like, hey, you did a good job in this, let's put him in this as well.
Yeah, the character that he plays too he was a real big catalyst into like kind of keeping the case open as to like almost to the effect of why isn't anybody interested in finding out who killed these two young men? Like he was huge. Like I mean, I've followed this case when I'm a huge big fan, so I followed this case, you know, ever since it first happened when Pac got shot and then Big got shot 6 months later. Like this was, you know, huge with my bringing up and listening to music. So when I saw this news article, I'm really interested and kind of excited to see, as Bobby just said, you know, where they're going to go with this, because, you know, the person that he's going to play is really kind of the one that was met with the most resistance, with him trying to be like, two men are dead. Rappers are not, gangbangers are not. Like, how come nobody's taking interest in wanting to find out who killed these people? Like, they had mothers, they had children. Like, this is, you know, not a good thing. Like, why are people trying to actively hide this fact? So it'll be interesting to see how close they want to stay to, you know, the corruption in different departments and, you know, the outsourcing of different people. So I'm really interested to see what they kind of how they're going to play it, whether if they're going to like just try and make it almost like a documentary type style with a lot of the real footage that they had from the time. Maybe not even have, you know, actors play Big and Pac, just have old video of Big and Pac and then take off like right after that. So
I
mean,
would hope
I'm
that's
interested.
kind of how they do that.
Yeah, I don't think they need to have,
And
you know, new actors or the actors that have played Big and Pac portray them in these movies. I think, you know, he was brought in, you know, I think after the Tupac shooting, because that was, you know, gang related. And then definitely when, you know, Big was shot, because I was in LA and he worked in LA.
yeah.
So I'm hoping that they kind of just like take off from there and be like, let's talk about this and expose a lot of, and if there was any corruption and whatnot, or what was going on.
Sorry, the name of the movie is Labyrinth. I forgot to mention that.
Number 7.
Are any of you guys familiar with the WWE wrestlers from back in the day? Did you guys ever follow it or just kind of have a passing interest in it at all?
I knew about them, but I never really got into wrestling when I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah, I had no interest in wrestling as a kid.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less. I remember I had a lot of friends that were really into it, and I mean, anything I knew about it was just because I was friends with them. So like I knew who wrestlers were and stuff, but you know,
you went a whole different direction with that, David. Like when you said that, I thought you were going to be like, I had a lot of friends when I was a kid, so I didn't have time to watch that shit because it was
sorry, no.
You were just way too cool for that
I
kind
had
of
friends,
stuff.
like I was social and did
direction.
things. Like, fucking watch wrestling.
I went in a total different direction, but yeah, no, I'm kind of like exactly the same way that you felt. It was like I just, you know, anything that I heard about it as well, it was always through a third party.
Yeah, I even went to one live like taping thing. It was
What?
Because
Really?
they did a lot here in Orlando.
well. This was when
That's true.
this was when I was at Florida State up in Tallahassee. They did one up there, and a couple of friends of mine were really into it. And it was just one of those things where I was like, sure, I'll go.
Why not?
And I don't even think I think one of them bought my ticket or something. I don't know. So I wasn't even paying for it. So sure. And I hated every minute of it.
Really?
Like, just
Wow.
because it was annoying being there live, because I don't know how it is most of the time, but in this situation, like they'd go to commercial break and you kind of didn't really, you knew they were going to commercial break and then it was just kind of dead and okay, we're just waiting. And then even during the fights, it was like you weren't hearing the commentators. So you weren't getting that like experience. You were just kind of there and I felt like I was missing half of it. And
Okay.
I don't know. I was like, I'm just watching this going, yeah, this is why I never watched this shit as a kid. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. Like, sorry.
Oh, well, I mean, that being said, I loved it as a
That's
kid.
yeah. I'm sorry, and I know I came across very judgy when I just said that. I mean, it wasn't for me. Like,
No, it's quite okay. I mean, I think back in the day, those were like the gargantuans of just the world when you're a kid, and it's like seeing these guys just in there, and they had these larger than life personalities.
Right.
It was one of the draws, and as a kid, you're thinking all this was real, and then you learn that it's staged, and then it kind of hits you like when your parents tell you or someone tells you that there's no such thing as Santa Claus. It's like, what? Like, what do you mean? I'm sitting here watching them. What are you saying that this isn't real? They're getting all
Look at
bloody.
him fly off the
It's
road.
like- yeah, I mean, so it's
The chair just smashed his face in. What just?
it
come
hurts.
on.
You're like, no way, and then you really start to realize, yes, it really is not real. But having said that, there's certain people when certain things happen off screen and within their real life that just becomes tragedy, and that's the case with this next story. There's a wrestler called Chris Benoit, and he was really big back in the day, and a Canadian wrestler, and he was really popular, and he ended up in 2007 killing his wife and son before taking his own life. And it wasn't until later that he was diagnosed with CTE, which is chronic traumatic, and I can't say the word, but it's a disease that is basically degenerative and is caused by a lot of repeated blows to the head, sort of a concussion kind of thing. And so they're actually making a movie about his life, and it's being directed by Lexi Alexander. And if you're familiar with her work, she did Punisher Warzone, and she's directed some episodes of Supergirl and Arrow. And I think this is one of those things that's, once again, right up my alley. It's a biopic, and it's about someone that I'm familiar with and have heard the story, and I remember that story when it happened, and it was just like, from all accounts from people around him, he was the nicest guy. So then it was like, when this happened, it was just a shock, and no one really realized and understood why. And then years later, we start getting all these reports about what concussions mean to these people and what happens in their life, and drives them to do some pretty out there kind of things. And so this is another one of those cases where that's happened, and it'll be interesting to see this story unfold and being told for people who didn't either know about it or just were kind of only knowing about what they kind of read about. So this is one I'm definitely going to be circling and looking forward to seeing.
cool.
All right.
Yeah. No. I
I have no desire.
This is why you got to come to another reason you got to come to Dragon Con, Bobby. They do like wrestling like every night. Like, or at least like the first 2 or 3 nights, there's, I don't know, these like lower league like wrestling things. I don't know what they are, and they broadcast them on Dragon Con TV. And we watched a little bit of it this year, and it's funny to watch.
Well, I mean, my infatuation with the wrestling probably went away around this time, maybe about 2007, 2008, at least around the time maybe when The Rock was kind of transitioning out of it. And so that was probably around the time I actually stopped watching. But this still interests me, so
Cool.
I will.
Very cool. Moving on.
Number 6.
So we got some news on one of my favorite comic book superheroes. Booster Gold is getting its movie finally, and it looks like Greg Berlanti of the Arrow and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow universe will be doing this movie himself. And the interesting part about it is not necessarily that the movie is getting made, but the fact that this will be separated from the DC extended universe. And this will mark the first movie that is about a DC comic book superhero that has nothing to do with the world that they've been building. And I think maybe part of it has to do with the fact that Booster Gold, as a character, is very comedy driven. His whole premise is the fact that he was essentially like a night watchman at a museum in the future, and he wanted to sort of live this life that he always had seen of superheroes in the past, and he gains access to a time traveling device, and snags some superhero memorabilia at the museum that he works at, and goes back in time and perpetrates himself as a superhero in order to make money and become famous. And so it's kind of an interesting concept. And of course, through the years, his character has changed and his arc has changed, and they've done things to tweak him to be more heroic as opposed to just sort of like a person that was kind of self-interested and a little bit on the smarmy kind of sleazy side. But yeah, I thought it was kind of crazy that they finally have tried to decide we're not going to put something out there as a film that's not going to be part of our DC extended universe. And I don't know if this is the first of many that will start to do this, or if this is a one-off thing where they're just kind of having it in its own pocket world. So it brings up a lot of questions, and I want to see how they will start to try and handle this thing where it's a DC film outside of their established universe.
I'm not familiar with the character, to be honest.
Yeah, I have no idea who Booster Gold is. No clue.
But I mean, I could see why he'd be separated, kind of almost for that reason. But yeah, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it'll be a character that, even though it's the same thing as Guardians of the Galaxy, who was familiar with them before it started, but once people kind of get the idea of who this guy is and his whole backstory, it will start to be something where I think people will kind of gain a little bit of an idea of like, maybe I want to see this, because it will be such a stark contrast to the DC extended universe that we have going on right now. Right. So I'll let you know how it goes as it develops, and maybe you guys will start to be a little bit more interested as you hear more.
Cool. Sounds good.
Number 5.
Now, I have to admit, with this number 5, it's a character that even I don't have much of a history with, but it looks like we've got another DC Comics character coming to the small screen, and he goes by the name of Black Lightning, and he's been greenlit for a TV series on Fox. It's a 1-hour drama. So the idea behind it is, I can read this little synopsis that Fox released as a logline. It says, Jefferson Pierce made his choice. He hung up the suit and his secret identity years ago, but with a daughter hell-bent on justice and a star student being recruited by a local gang, he'll be pulled back into the fight as the wanted vigilante and DC legend Black Lightning. So it says that the series will probably hit somewhere around 2017 or maybe 2018, and there's not much known about it other than that. And this one, man, it's interesting that Fox is picking up another series, and there's no word yet on whether or not this will tie into the DC universe that they've established for the TV side. So I think that will be a key component as to how people will treat this new series, because you have Gotham, which is on Fox already, and there's not a lot of love for that show, even though it seems to do decent. But it's just the fact that it, one, stands outside of the stuff that they have going on the CW, but also because it's one of those shows where you're getting all these Batman villains, but yet there's no Batman. And so it takes away from the idea of what you would want to see if there's a show about Gotham. And this new series, this Black Lightning, it again sort of sounds in a off-kilter kind of way, the same sort of thing where if you are familiar with the character of Black Lightning and you like that character, this isn't necessarily about him per se. It seems like it's more about his daughter, but he's also kind of in it. And so I don't know how that will be perceived by anyone that does like the character, but if they kind of do that same sort of thing, maybe it will decrease the likelihood of people watching it. And then you couple into the fact of whether or not they decide to incorporate it into what they're doing on the CW will also be a factor. But I think the good thing about it is that Berlanti is overseeing it and doing it, and so, or at least as an executive producer. So it will at least have his input and hands in there, and there's always that possibility that it'll still tie in and you'll benefit from which would be a first, would be a crossover between this Fox show and the CW. So, yeah, other than that, I really don't know much about the character. And since it's a comic book series, I'll check it out, but I don't know that I would stick with it, depending on the quality of it.
And this is official for starting when?
That it would probably be for the TV series fall season of 2017 or possibly 2018.
Gotcha. So, all right, a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll be hearing more about it.
All right.
Number 4.
Do you guys know who Billy Crudup is?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Man.
haven't heard his name in a while.
Michelle said that.
Yeah,
Does
she seemed
it?
pretty excited about him. I didn't know he had that kind of reputation, but
What?
I haven't seen him in anything in a long time. Like I know in the articles I've been reading recently, they talked about how the fact that The Watchmen was one of the things that he had done in most recent memory, and that was with him being Dr. Manhattan. Well, his name is being brought up now because it looks like he's in negotiations to play Barry Allen's dad in the upcoming The Flash movie. And one of the things that I thought was interesting about this actual casting or possible casting was that it seems as though about a year ago in some sort of press junket, I don't know why, but it was Billy Crudup and Ezra Miller were together. And Ezra Miller was talking about being in the Flash movie, and Billy Crudup mentioned to him, "Hey, can you see about trying to get me a role in the movie?" And sure enough, a year later, it looks like he's actually going to be playing Ezra's dad as the father of Barry Allen. So I actually like Billy Crudup and stuff that I've seen him in, and like I said, it's been a while since I've seen him on screen and anything. So it'll be solid having him as a casting as Barry Allen's dad. So that was kind of like the thing that to me it was the Flash is one of my favorite characters. So seeing this world being formed out more and more as we get casting here and there, it's just kind of getting more and more exciting to me to see where they're going to go with this film version of the character as opposed to the TV version that we have.
Yeah, looking at his resume, I mean, he's definitely done some work since Watchmen. But really, Watchmen's like the last thing that I'm like, oh, well, yeah, that's really probably the last thing I saw him in, which seems crazy. Like, when at first you said that, I'm like, oh, there's got to be something I've seen him in since.
Yeah.
But
that's what I did. That was my reaction too, David. Like when I read the article that he was going to be the dad, I was like, oh, welcome back. And I'm like, welcome back. He has to have been in something.
Right.
Like he was in something. And so I looked and I was like, yeah, I didn't watch any of that.
I didn't watch any of these.
I haven't seen any of those.
And
but
and it's not like they're bigger films that, oh, I just missed that, but people would know this. Like, no, they're all stuff I'm like, I haven't watched these and I haven't heard of most of these.
Yeah, never heard of this television show that he's doing or did, and
Yeah.
these little standoff things. I'm just like, what is this?
I mean, it looks like he's in
You know what? I did
Alien
hear-
Covenant. That's
You know what?
doing
We actually did talk about the Stanford Prison Experiment. Like he's in that, and we talked about that. So we just never. I don't think any of us really saw that,
Right.
but I did want to see that. That movie looked really, really
It
good.
did look really good. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about the news about him playing Barry Allen's dad, and at the same time, it makes me feel really old that he's gonna be playing Barry Allen's dad.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
no, he's not old enough to. Oh Jesus, yes, he is. So like, oh no, he's not supposed to play somebody's dad. He's supposed to like be the main character. Like, oh, gut wrenching to me in ways, but otherwise it's exciting.
Sorry, Michelle.
Yeah,
Hey, we have to deal with Marissa Tomei as a Spider-Man's mom. So
you know,
you get this.
I apparently get
Aunt
that.
May. She's Aunt May.
She's not old
Or
enough.
as they-
Oh damn, yeah, she is.
Or as they call her on the internet, Hot May.
Yeah, exactly.
No one says Aunt May anymore. They just call her Hot May.
All right, moving on to our top 3.
Number 3.
All right, now this news got me super excited because I know we've been talking about this particular show for a while, and HBO's Westworld. We recently just learned that they have mapped out the next 5 or 6 years for what the show is going to be, and they talked about, or at least James Marsden had mentioned, that was one of the reasons why they had to halt production back. It was like a few months ago, and I remember they were going to come out with it, and then all of a sudden they just stopped, but there was no real reason. And he even had went on record and he said, it wasn't about getting the first 10 episodes done. It was about mapping out what the next 5 or 6 years are going to be, he told Entertainment Weekly. We wanted everything in line so that when the very last episode airs and we have our show finale 5 or 7 years down the line, we knew how it was going to end the first season. I love hearing stuff like that because it means that a show has a definitive place that it's going, and that it won't be trying to vamp just because it's doing good and trying to add to it and start to go off the rails. Knowing that they have a set amount of seasons that they want to go and stories mapped out, it just means that we'll get a more solid show. At least that's my hope. And so I was already looking forward to it, but this news made me super ecstatic in terms of me really being able to know that I can digest this and invest in it in a way that I know that the showrunners and the writers are really putting forth an effort to make this cohesive and something that once you see it from first episode to last, that you feel like it was very well written and thought out, much in sort of the way that like a Breaking Bad is. And so I'm man, it's like made me really excited for this news.
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, I was excited about the show anyway, and this is good news. I agree that, you know, the idea that they have a whole plan in place makes this feel like, okay, they know what they're doing here, and this isn't just going to be we'll just go season by season and figure it out as we go along kind of thing.
Right.
Like, no, it's definitely good news. And the show just looks awesome. And I mean, and I loved the movie, you know, and I'm sure the movie is a completely different feel from what this is going to be. But I mean, I have fond memories of that. What was it, 70s film?
Yeah.
You know, that, you know, Michael Crichton directed this or wrote this book. And I think he directed that movie. But yeah, no, I'm excited about this show a lot.
And it premieres October 2nd, so it's right around the corner.
Yes.
God, there's so much happening that first weekend of
Right?
October. Oh my God.
Almost here, and then October will be gone like that.
Then it'll be Christmas. I just skipped.
Then it'll be top 10 show.
It really will
Thanksgiving
connect with-
doesn't happen anymore in your world.
No, I
Bobby?
just because it's just gonna go. It's gonna go by so fast. The next thing you know, it's gonna be Christmas.
There's going to be Comic-Con?
Blink of an eye.
It's gonna be Comic-Con. There you go.
We'll be buying
Just get
badges
that.
and hotel rooms, and it'll be Comic-Con, then it'll be Dragon Con, then we'll be having this conversation again next year.
It'll feel like tomorrow.
Yes.
Hey, it's pretty quick like that sometimes. It really
Yeah,
does.
it
feel
does.
Like, I mean, it doesn't literally seem like it was that long ago that we were all together at Comic-Con, but damn, July, it sounds like that was an infinite amount of time ago compared to where we're at now in September.
I know. All right, moving on.
Number 2.
Yeah, another one I'm excited about is a movie that I watched back in the day and the TV series that it spawned I loved, which is Alien Nation. So we had talked about it previously, the fact that it looked like they were kind of making a movie about it or a remake. And there's more traction on it now because they've hired Jeff Nichols to direct it. And if you're familiar with Jeff Nichols' work or you're not, his credits include Mud, and he also did the recent Midnight Special, and he has a new movie coming out. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for it, called Loving, which has the girl from the Preacher series who plays the main female lead. I can't think of her name offhand. And what's that, Yasha?
Ruth Nega.
Yes, she's in it.
And
yeah.
Joel Edgerton is also in that movie.
That is correct. Thank you for that. And that movie, I just saw the trailer for it today, honestly, and it looks like it's going to be one of those very emotional kind of movies because it talks about, or it takes place where it's like the first interracial couple to get married and how they were essentially put in jail for that reason, and they end up taking their case to the Supreme Court and to fight for the right to be married, and because they were black and white. So this definitely looks like it's going to be a heartfelt movie, and like I said, Jeff Nichols directed that, and so he's on board to direct Alien Nation, and I'm looking forward to this because I love that series as a TV series, and I did also love the movie. So I think we're gonna get something good as a remake. It seems like it lends itself to being remade because it's probably a movie where not a lot of people remember it. And if you did, it was probably more of a cult kind of following than it was something that's just super celebrated. And I think that even people that love it, like myself, could probably be like, okay, I could see be able to do a new one. I'd watch that. It doesn't seem like it's sacrilegious to remake Alien Nation. So yeah, I want to see how it turns out. Yeah, I like the director, so I think we'll probably get something good from it.
Yeah, I don't think it's sacrilegious to have this movie be remade as well, because I remember watching the movie when I was young. I haven't seen it in years, but I remember really enjoying it, like thinking that was such a really sci-fi fun movie. Like even as a kid, I was like, wow, that was kind of cool. That was cool how they did this, and that was cool how they did that. I even watched, I do believe I watched the series a little bit. I'm not going to say that I was totally into it, but I did watch it at times. And so this is one of those movies that actually could really benefit from like a reboot and maybe kind of regrafting of what it was and what it is and what it could be, and potentially spawn a really good franchise.
Absolutely. And I think it lends itself to such good, ripe social commentary because one of the whole kind of things behind it was that we lived in their society, in this movie, they lived in a world where they accepted the aliens onto the planet of Earth, but then they treated them like sort of third class citizens. And they were not, I mean, there was like a lot of almost what you would say racism against these aliens. And so it
very
lends
discriminative.
Yeah. So it'll be kind of interesting to see this brought back in today's society and having those themes take place in this movie and seeing that again and retold in a way that makes sense for our day and age of today. So yeah, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like there's loops in time where things kind of repeat, and like the early 90s was, kind of a hotbed for racial tension. And so this series came out kind of in that time, that movie and the series. And so it was really talking about what was happening in the culture of our nation at that time. And then things kind of have died down, but I feel like in the last few years, things have kind of stirred back up again. And so the timing of it's pretty spectacular to continue this commentary on, people embracing people of whatever background, race, nationality, world they come from, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And yeah, I totally don't think it's sacrilegious. Like I'm with Jascha. Like I saw the movie a million years ago as, a kid, and I watched this series on and off, but I always enjoyed it. Like it was always one of those things, like if it was on, we watched it and it was enjoyable, but yeah, I'm down with it. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching it and I think I remember, I liked it, but I'm kind of indifferent about it. Like at this point for me, I mean, I'll definitely check it out, but it's not something that has stuck with me that like, man, I really love it. I've got this kind of cult love for this film and everything. And I don't know.
Well, I mean, as far as the commentary kind of goes, on our society and stuff, I think it might be able to go a little bit deeper than say where District 9 was trying to kind of go to, and I feel like this is going to be a little, I don't know. It'll kind of dive deeper, but in a way that's not so, I don't know, bizarre. Maybe is the best way to put it. Oh, yeah. District 9, what a movie!
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah. You and I need to talk later, Bobby, about that one.
Yeah, because I wasn't a District 9 fan, so.
I liked it. I like that guy's work a lot.
We need to have a District 9 discussion. Yeah. I think we're due.
Yeah,
I feel like we did. I don't remember who was on the show back when that movie came out. So no, I guess it was me and Carlton. I don't remember.
That's
interesting. I don't think I was, but Charlton Copley is an amazing actor, and that was when I first noticed him. I think that was his first major role.
Yeah, no, that was his big breakout. That movie.
All right.
Interesting.
Moving on.
We'll talk about that later. That can be like an after show thing. How about that?
Right. All right.
Number 1.
Oh, man. Move over Manal Bennett. It looks like there's a new Deathstroke in town. We got word that from the short film footage that we saw of Deathstroke that Ben Affleck put on his Twitter feed, I believe it was like a week or so ago, we now know who the actor is that is playing Deathstroke, and it's none other than Joe Manganiello. And man, I couldn't be happier. For me, I heard the news, and I remember that it was rumored at the time that that footage came out that it was going to possibly be him, because him and Sofia Vergara were in London at the same time as where they're shooting Justice League, and you see the Twitter picture of him and how his facial features and beard and stuff had been shaved more into a goatee and having the traditional look that Deathstroke has. So to me, it just made sense as soon as I heard it, because I also remember how Joe had gone and auditioned to play Superman before Henry Cavill had got the role. And so I know he's been wanting to get into one of these comic book movies for a while now. So hearing that he'll be Deathstroke, oh man, I that raised my level of anticipation for the solo Batman movie from already high to like starting to burst through the ceiling on it, because Deathstroke as a character is so badass and so like skilled that he's been able to, and at various times throughout his history, take out the entire Justice League. So him going toe to toe with Batman is more than enough of a person that could be able to actually stand his own against Batman. So I'm very much looking forward to the choreographed fight scenes in that movie. This just made my week when I heard this news that he was going to be Deathstroke. So I don't know how you guys felt about it, but for me, it was just like, it was the best thing I could have heard.
You are downright giddy.
You are excited.
You are amped, man.
Yeah.
It's cool, Bobby. We're excited too, but you are giddy. It's adorable.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm with Bobby on this. I mean, he couldn't have voiced it better myself. I like Joe, and I like his work. I've always kind of enjoyed his work, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him really open up in his fight scenes and maybe show us a little bit more of, his versatility as an actor, because I think he gets a little underutilized at times. But I think I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing him, have some badass fight scenes and be a bad guy. That sounds like a lot of fun.
I'll say, yeah, I'm excited. I will say though that like, I'm not excited to a level that it doesn't change my opinion about the Batman movie. I was already happy about it. And then hearing this is kind of more of a, okay, cool. I'm totally down with that. That's great news. Moving on. Like it's not like I was ho-hum about Batman and now this is making me crazy happy or anything. I mean, I don't know. That's cool. That's where I stand with it. It's cool.
You're like, I don't know if you're expecting us to say something in retort
nope.
against your feeling, but no, I mean, I just think for me, it's something that being so close to source material with the comics and the animation series and knowing the character so well and being able to finally see a Batman movie where there's someone who could kick his ass, it just makes it more exciting, where the outcome of these movies to a degree, but you've never seen Batman really challenged on this level before, and it makes it more exciting to me. And the fact that Ben recognizes that as well, and them going out and getting Joe is just, man, it just really makes me more excited for this new series with Ben Affleck in it.
Gotcha. Anybody got anything else?
No, we hit our number one.
All right. Well, I guess with that, we'll go ahead and get out of here. As always, we'd love to know what you thought of everything we talked about. You can let us know by emailing us at feedback@flickereffect.com. You can also find links to all of our social media accounts on our website. Just go to flickereffect.com, look over on the right-hand side. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Jascha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Curry.
Thanks for listening.